Sometimes, a game gets buried before it even has a chance to shine. Maybe it launched with bugs, promised too much, or simply didn't meet the expectations of a vocal fanbase. But hidden beneath the criticism and controversy are games that, despite all odds, deliver something genuinely enjoyable. Whether it's their chaotic gameplay, unexpected charm, or sheer uniqueness, these titles prove that fun doesn't always follow popularity. Today, we're diving into 10 games that might have been hated by many, but for those who gave them a real shot, they turned out to be surprisingly fun to play. Assassin's Creed Unity was released in November 2014 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Developed by Ubisoft, it brought players into the heart of the French Revolution, exploring a beautifully recreated Paris filled with unrest, history, and political intrigue. You play as Arnaud Dorian, a young assassin drawn into a personal mission for redemption amidst a city on the brink of chaos. While the game was heavily criticized at launch for bugs, performance issues, and a rushed release, many fans later came to appreciate its breathtaking architecture, dense world, and immersive historical setting. Despite its rocky start, Unity remains a fun and ambitious chapter in the series. Combat in Unity feels grounded and cinematic, requiring careful timing, well-placed counters, and precise attacks. Gone are the overly simple mechanics of earlier titles. Instead, battles feel like duels where skill matters. The revamped parkour system adds fluidity and control, making rooftop navigation smoother and more stylish than ever. You can tailor Arnaud's weapons and gear to your playstyle, blending stealth and aggression as you choose. Interacting with crowds, infiltrating buildings, or syncing up with friends in co-op missions brings an extra layer of energy. It may not be flawless, but Unity delivers moments that feel genuinely thrilling and alive. Final Fantasy XIII was released in March 2010 for PlayStation and Xbox and later for PC. Developed by Square Enix, it introduced players to a beautiful yet broken world split between the floating city of Cocoon and the wild lands of Pulse below. The story follows a group of strangers marked by fate and hunted by their own people as they struggle to survive and rewrite their destiny. While it received praise for its visuals and soundtrack, many fans were divided on its linear design. Still, its emotional journey, powerful cast, and stunning presentation left a deep impression on many. Combat in Final Fantasy XIII is fast, strategic, and deeply satisfying. Using the paradigm shift system, players constantly change roles mid-battle, adjusting between offense, healing, and adapt quickly. Every fight feels like a test of timing and decision-making rather than just brute force. Moments of trust, doubt, and sacrifice shape their journey, and those bonds are felt in both dialogue and combat. It is a story told through action, choice, and heart. Days Gone was released in April 2019 exclusively for PlayStation before arriving on PC later. Developed by Ben Studio, it takes place in a post-apocalyptic Oregon overrun by feral infected creatures known as Freakers. You play as Deacon St. John, a drifter and former biker trying to survive in a world where civilization has collapsed. The game combines open-world exploration, survival elements, and emotional storytelling as Deacon searches for hope, loss, and meaning after the outbreak. While initial reviews were mixed, with some critics citing technical issues and repetition, many players embraced its raw atmosphere, engaging world, and heartfelt character moments. Combat in Days Gone feels intense and grounded, offering a gritty mix of stealth, gunplay, and brutal melee. Deacon must scavenge supplies, craft weapons, and carefully manage resources while navigating a world filled with danger. Encounters with freaker hordes are terrifying and chaotic, forcing players to think fast and use the environment to survive. The bike serves as your lifeline and companion, requiring fuel and repairs as you travel across the wasteland. Interactions with survivors, enemies, and allies shape the story, and as you grow stronger, so does your connection to the world. Every choice feels personal in a journey about resilience, redemption, and the fight to keep going. Alien Colonial Marines was released in February 2013 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, developed by Gearbox Software and published by Sega. Marketed as a direct sequel to the classic Aliens film, the game set out to place players in the boots of a United States colonial marine responding to a distress call from the iconic USS Sulaco. Players were eager to explore familiar settings, face terrifying xenomorphs, and uncover what really happened after the events of the movie. Despite high expectations and an exciting premise, the game launched to widespread criticism due to bugs, inconsistent visuals, and weak storytelling. While the setup promised intense squad-based combat against deadly alien threats, the gameplay struggled to deliver the tension and precision fans expected. The shooting felt loose, and the enemy AI, especially for the xenomorphs, lacked the unpredictability and fear that made them iconic. Players could issue basic commands to teammates, but there was little tactical depth or urgency. Interactions with the environment were minimal, and despite some atmospheric lighting and sound design, the immersion fell short. What could have been a gripping, action-packed experience often felt clunky and disconnected. Still, for some fans, the chance to revisit the Aliens universe held nostalgic value. Dead Island was released in September 2011 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, developed by Techland and published by Deep Silver. Set on the fictional tropical island of Benoi, the game opens with a sudden and violent zombie outbreak during what should have been a relaxing vacation. You play as one of 4 survivors, each with their own background and unique combat skills, who must navigate the collapsing paradise while searching for a way to escape. The game gained attention for its emotional trailer and open-world design, though reactions to the final product were mixed. While critics pointed out technical issues and uneven storytelling, players praised the satisfying combat, co-op gameplay, and the eerie atmosphere of a resort-turned-nightmare. Combat in Dead Island is brutal, messy, and up close. Melee weapons like bats, machetes, and wrenches are the tools of survival, with each hit delivering weight and impact. Weapons can be upgraded and modified, adding electrified blades or explosive force, making every swing feel unique and powerful. Gunplay exists but is limited, reinforcing the sense of desperation. Movement is slow and deliberate, emphasizing survival over speed. Teaming up with friends adds energy to the experience, with cooperation playing a major role in fending off hordes and completing quests. Scavenging for supplies, exploring broken hotels, and hearing distant screams make the world feel constantly dangerous and alive. Dead Island may be flawed, but its raw action and survival tension still offer a thrilling and gritty zombie adventure. Mad Max was released in September 2015 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, developed by Avalanche Studios and published by Warner Bros. Inspired by the iconic film universe, the game drops you into a harsh and lawless wasteland, where survival depends on scrap, speed, and savage skill. You play as Max Rokotansky, a lone warrior haunted by loss and driven by the need to escape his past. After being ambushed and stripped of everything, Max teams up with a hunchbacked mechanic named Chum Bucket to build the Magnum Opus, a powerful car that can carry him across the desert and into redemption. While some critics pointed to repetitive missions and a thin story, many players found the world hypnotic, the driving addictive, and the atmosphere gripping. Combat in Mad Max hits hard, with bone-crunching punches, gritty animations, and a fluid counter system that makes every fight feel grounded and personal. Melee brawls are intense, filled with dust, fury, and brutal finishers that give each encounter weight. But it is behind the wheel where the game roars to life. Vehicular combat is exhilarating, with harpoons ripping off armor, nitro boosts sending you flying, and explosions lighting up the horizon. Dynamic sandstorms, enemy patrols, and camps keep the open world alive with danger. There is a quiet rhythm to the wasteland, and the more you play, the more its broken beauty begins to settle under your skin. Mass Effect Andromeda was released in March 2017 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, developed by BioWare and published by Electronic Arts. As a spiritual reboot of the beloved Mass Effect trilogy, it shifted the setting from the Milky Way to the Andromeda Galaxy, giving players a new frontier to explore. You step into the role of Ryder, a pathfinder tasked with finding humanity a new home in an unfamiliar and hostile galaxy. The game aimed to capture the wonder of exploration and the challenge of survival in uncharted territory. While fans were excited to return to the Mass Effect universe, Andromeda launched with mixed reviews due to animation issues, bugs, and inconsistent writing, though some praised its vast worlds and sense of discovery. Combat in Andromeda is fast, fluid, and more dynamic than ever before in the series. Ryder's jetpack allows for vertical movement and quick dashes, making battles feel mobile and unpredictable. The wide variety of abilities and weapons lets players tailor their fighting style, whether through tech, biotics, or raw firepower. Interactions with alien races, loyalty missions, and relationship building return, adding emotional weight to your decisions. While the narrative lacks the emotional punch of earlier entries, the gameplay systems, freedom of movement, and sheer scope offer moments of real immersion and excitement in a galaxy filled with danger and promise. Kane Lynch 2, Dog Days, was released in August 2010 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, developed by IO Interactive. It brought players back into the violent, chaotic world of two deeply flawed criminals: Kane, a mercenary with a broken past, and Lynch, a mentally unstable outlaw. Set in the gritty underworld of Shanghai, the game aimed for a raw and unfiltered experience, using a handheld documentary-style camera to deliver a gritty, shaky, and visually unique presentation. While critics were mixed on its short length and minimal character development, many players found its intense, unpolished energy to be strangely compelling and immersive. The combat in Dog Days is brutal and messy, capturing the feeling of panic more than precision. Gunfights are fast, chaotic, and intentionally disorienting, often framed with blurry visuals, digital glitches, and heavy camera shake to mimic a camcorder in the middle of a firefight. You're not a hero. You're just trying to survive as everything around you spirals out of control. The cover system is functional but unreliable, just like the characters themselves. Interactions between Kane and Lynch feel raw and unpredictable, filled with tension, desperation, and dark humor. It's a wild, uncomfortable ride, and it never pretends to be anything else. Resident Evil 6 was released in October 2012 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, developed and published by Capcom. It aimed to be the most ambitious entry in the franchise, featuring 4 interwoven campaigns starring familiar faces like Leon Kennedy and Chris Redfield, alongside new characters. Set across various global locations, the story follows different teams trying to contain yet another deadly bioterror outbreak. While the game leaned heavily into action, with cinematic sequences and explosive set pieces, longtime fans were divided. Some missed the slower, horror-driven pacing of earlier titles, but others appreciated the variety and scale of the experience. Combat in Resident Evil 6 is fast, fluid, and more focused on action than survival. You can roll, slide, dual-wield weapons, and perform brutal melee takedowns. Each character plays differently. Leon's campaign leans into suspense and classic zombie horror, while Chris's is more of a military shooter, adding hand-to-hand combat and stealth. The game constantly throws you into chaotic, large-scale encounters with mutated creatures, collapsing buildings, and tense boss fights. Co-op mechanics let you team up with friends, adding another layer of fun and strategy. Its ambition makes it a wild and entertaining ride. No Man's Sky was released in August 2016 for PlayStation and PC, later expanding to Xbox and newer consoles. Developed by Hello Games, it promised an infinite universe of procedurally generated planets to explore, each with its own ecosystems, life forms, and terrain. At launch, however, the game was met with heavy criticism due to missing features, limited gameplay depth, and broken promises. Many felt let down by the gap between the marketing and the final product. But over the years, through consistent updates and passionate support from the developers, No Man's Sky transformed into a rich, expansive, and deeply rewarding experience that won back the trust of countless players. Exploring planets in No Man's Sky feels relaxing and limitless, with seamless transitions between spaceflight, planetary exploration, and underwater discovery. You can mine resources, craft technology, build massive bases, and travel with friends across the stars. Combat is present, but never overwhelming. Battles with space pirates or hostile life forms keep the universe feeling wild and unpredictable. Interactions with alien species, mysterious ancient structures, and the vast unknown bring a sense of awe and loneliness that few games capture. It's not just about surviving, it's about curiosity, freedom, and writing your own journey in a universe that feels truly alive.